Yo, what's up guys? Bajheera here. For this video, I would like to take a second and go over my level 96 Primalist, Beastmaster, Earthquake, Berserker. This build has been a lot of fun. We leveled through just by like swiping stuff down, Tempest striking stuff down. Pretty much took me to monoliths, I want to say. And then through monoliths and now empowered monoliths, we have been playing a particular version of this Beastmaster Earthquake setup. And then here in a little bit, once we get the right gear and get strong enough, maybe at max level, we can transition to another version of the build. But anyway, let me show you what I'm working with right here. So again, this is a Earthquake Primalist Beastmaster. And this guy's really fun because he plays kind of like a barbarian, like a warrior kind of deal. And there's not really a barbarian in this class just by or in this game just by default. So you kind of have to make one of your own. That's what we did. So I do want to give a big shout out to a guy named The Curse for the original version of this build that I played the first time I played last Epoch. And now we're kind of doing like a bit of like a hybrid version. And I think I saw like Maxroll did a build video on like a crit version of this. So I think it's a thing. So I don't think I'm just completely trolling by playing this. So me telling you guys about it, I don't think is gonna mess you guys up by any means. But let's take a look. So we start off in the Primalist. We're grabbing a bunch of points in Primal Strength for strength and regen. I did grab 2 points in Attunement. That's mostly just to progress the tree a little bit. But Attunement's good. It scales Earthquakes. That's nice. A little bit of Resist is okay too. I think this is better than just like 2 points of health, but it's all good. We're grabbing Dual Wield because we are dual wielding, which does make us take more damage, but still seems pretty worth. We are going for 10% increased health just to get us through to the tree. Although I'm looking at this now, I don't think I necessarily even need this many points. I feel like maybe I could go less. I don't know. I might be able to do that because we're not actually using any of this stuff over here. I wonder if I could actually shave points off right now. But I'm looking at a little bit of melee damage, and melee damage leads to his health. And these are kind of cool though. I think you need, how many points do you need in order to get to the next tree? I wonder. Maybe I do actually take like one of these off. I think you need like 25 or something like that. Ooh, that could be an optimization. Anyway, just to give you an idea, things will change, then we'll update you then too. How about that? So over here, we're going with 2 points in Savagery. I came back later for Ursine Strength for more strength, which is damage and armor, and you take less damage from nearby enemies from this talent. We're doing a 1 point investment in Ambush just to get us a little bit further down the tree. I think Rending Maw, I could put more points in this for the armor shred. It's pretty cool. Earlier on, we would put 1 point here so we could get to here, but we don't need this now because we get duration of Astral Section of the Shark from over here. So this is another place that we could tighten up, or we could have more armor shred. That would be fine too. But anyway, one of the main things we want is Boar Heart for Aspect of the Boar. When you get hit, it gives you Aspect of the Boar for 5 seconds, and Aspect of the Boar is reducing damage taken by 15%, but because we take this talent, it actually makes it 30%. And it also gives us more health regen, and you have a 20% chance to proc Aspect of the Boar when you hit something too, which is really nice. We're going over here for more strength and flat health regen, which is pretty cool. We also have increased health regen scaling with strength, which is really cool too. That's a lot of health regen. Then we'll come to Viper Fangs to get Aspect of the Viper, which increases our damage over time by a lot. The little poison thing is kind of whatever, but 50% attack speed is definitely awesome. So we like that a lot. And we are using Circle of Life to kind of just, I mean, it's a Aspect of the Shark chance on kill, but the way the Aspect of the Shark works is that we're going to have it up like 100% of the time anyway. It's every 5 seconds you get the buff. It lasts for 3 seconds by default. It gives you damage and attack speed, but we take a couple points in this talent to make sure that we can get like a full uptime. It's like 4.8 seconds of buff time, so then it falls off, then it procs again, right? And then it also just makes it more effective. Then we'll come all the way over here and grab more strength and more physical damage on the Beastmaster tree. Now, if you want to play Earthquake, you're going to have to put points in Shaman a little bit earlier. I didn't really do it for a while. I was just using Tempest Strike. But if you want to put points in Shaman earlier to get Earthquake, you can. And when I did put points in, I got Sky Warrior just for damage, and then recovery cooldown, or increased cooldown recovery speed for Fury Leap, so it comes off cooldown faster. Then we have Attunement for more earthquake damage and damage penetration, which is including physical penetration, so it's just more damage. We have this, which is just extra health, and the chance to chill on hit is kind of a big deal because we will scale earthquake damage with chill, so that's cool. And then I put 1 point in Earth and Supremacy. What's this about? Bro, we were playing late last night, so we were definitely going ham. I don't think I want to put that point in attunement. What was I doing over here? Okay, the reason why I put the point in attunement, I see, is because I wanted to just do more damage with my skills, but I don't think we need the endurance threshold. Stun avoidance per point of attunement would actually be pretty nice though, so maybe I will. Eventually I want to put points in this, but I think that's why we put it there. It's just because this gives us a teeny bit more damage. Endurance threshold doesn't do really that much for us. Yeah, I don't know, if we want attunement, maybe we would just put it there, because we're not gonna ever get 5 points in that, so I'll fix that. This is interesting, because I'm like, what was I even doing here last night? But for Druid, we're putting points in Druid because you get a little bit of health and mana, and then you get a bunch of attunement and strength, which is like big earthquake damage scaling, and then you also get all attributes +1 for the 5-point investment. So that's just free real estate right there. So that's how I've got my talent point set up. I do think that I can probably make some adjustments here if I wanted to. I think that at least 1 point armor shred is cool. This is okay. I may even prefer to have it in the totem thing though, rather than this. But attunement is earthquake damage, so that's cool. And then we'll eventually, if I wanted to set up a low life ward setup, then we could go into Cornered Beast, which is huge. You get more melee damage on low life per point and less damage taken. Not increased, more. So 75% more damage and 20% less damage taken, which is huge. Huge stuff. So I might eventually go there, but right now we're just using life and enjoying all that life regen and stuff. So for my skill allocation, my first skill that we're spamming a ton of is Swipe. This is useful for getting us a huge stack of global physical damage per stack, thanks to Aspect of the Panther. A little bit of attack speed, thanks to Aspect of the Panther. More global melee damage from Aspect of the Panther, and more maximum stacks, so instead of 5, it's 7 now. And we get increased duration of Aspect of the Panther, so more physical damage, and attack speed, and health regen from that. So we are going over here as well. Just needed 2 points in here to get to here. Just need 1 point in this to get to here. And then we have Duality of Nature, which is giving us mana gain and health gain whenever we are swiping, which is frequent. We're doing a little bit of AoE. We are doing, oh sorry, this is a little bit of hit damage. This is a little bit of AoE and more damage. Then we are getting 2 points in culling. So whenever something drops to 14% health, it'll get executed, die instantly, which is awesome. We have Frenzy Totem for a nice attack speed and damage buff. We have making the Frenzy more effective. We have it giving us a damage buff and attack speed buff. We have it costing less mana and giving us more damage on top of it. Even more damage while we are tethered. It gives us a little bit more tether range. And then because I have a bunch more points to spend, I'm putting some of those points in health and duration and a little bit of extra life regen while we're in the totem. So these ones are not important, but it's just because we have so many points to spend and we can do that. I'm actually still skilling Fury Leap. I like Fury Leap. We are making it hit a bigger area, cost less mana. We make it immune to damage while leaping, so like you can use the leap as an iframe to get through like mechanics and stuff, like jumping over Lagon's beam or something like that. Panther Strike, you can make it make leap come off cooldown faster. And now that I'm in these big monoliths, we're actually using gravity. So when you're in these big packs, you can leap and it kind of like pulls them in closer. And then then all your earthquake AoE just crunches all the mobs together. It's awesome. We have increased stun chance just to get a little bit of like chance to reset on kill, which is cool. And it's on any kill with any skill, so that's cool. We're getting a nice big buff for 3 seconds whenever we leap, so we can like leap right into big burst. We are doing Frenzied Onslaught for Frenzy, but it's really just to get access to this talent, which just gives us access to this talent. So now we cleanse ailments when we leap, which is great. We also have a cleanse ailment on this skill, which is Warcry. So Warcry is sick. It gives you like a big old like berserk buff. It also makes you immune for 1 second after Warcry, and also useful for immuning stuff, right? So this gives us the berserk buff. We get melee damage, and we also get more stacks with brutality, and then we also get attack speed from our buff. So we pop this buff, we start attacking, it stacks up, stacking up to huge damage and huge attack speed, which is sick. We put 1 point in here to get to the cleanse as well, so whenever we leap or shout, it'll cleanse us. This is important. We do extra knockback distance, but instead of knockback, we actually pull enemies in, thanks to Apprehend. And then we have Deep Roar, which makes it a bigger AoE. If you wanted to go crit, you could do this stuff, but we're not doing that right now. For Earthquake, we are mostly using Earthquake as a way to get the Aftershocks to make them turn into dot damage, right? So Aftershocks are now damage over time, dealing their normal hit damage each second. They last 3 seconds, but it's not just their normal hit damage, right? Because you make them do more damage with unabating, and they last longer, so it's just double damage modifiers there. We do have a little bit more damage on Aftershocks. We come down here for +1 Aftershock, and then I only have enough points for like a little bit more AoE on this, because I actually am experimenting with coming through here for the slow chance, the slow duration, the 3 points in not buffet, in buffet. The curse, he's got me all twisted because he did call it buffet in his video. I remember that, it's pretty funny. But buffet, so you have increased stun chance and mana efficiency. So this skill goes from costing 50 mana to 40. And it's not that big of a deal, so I'm not sure I'm going to keep it, but I do actually cast Earthquakes on my own. Especially when we get into 500 Corruption, it was definitely good to cast Earthquakes. But what we could do is, if I was going to drop off these, then I would just go back into the AoE. I would get AoE here, and I would get AoE here. And that would be nice. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll think about it. But that would be a good where I would put those points. In addition to going over here, we have more AoE. We have the Shatterquake, hits against chilled enemies or frozen enemies. So it's more hit damage, right? And it's Aftershocks, of course. Then we have 2 points in magnitude to get access to this point, which is really cool. Divining Totem. Aftershocks appear around your totems instead if they're nearby. So one of the things you can do with this build is you can cast your own Earthquakes, which will Aftershock stuff. But you'll also be using these cool little totems where there's a chance to create an Aftershock under a nearby enemy on melee attack. They also have increased aspect of the boar effect, which is just really useful to have, so you're just a little bit tankier. So you'll have an Aftershock underneath the enemies, right? But they can only have 1 Aftershock per enemy at a time. So when you're fighting a boss, what you can do is you'll have your Aftershock from your attack, which is probably the same thing as Aftershock from your Earthquake. But then I also have this little guy, right? Chance on hit to summon a Thorn Totem, so you'll have your hit Aftershock, your Thorn Totem Aftershocks, and then your Frenzy Totem Aftershocks. So frequently it'll spawn like 2 Thorn Totems up to your maximum, minion count, right? So you have 3 totems down and an Aftershock underneath the boss. So they're getting hit by, instead of at maximum 1 Aftershock, now they're getting hit by 4 Aftershocks. And that stacks up damage very, very fast. And that's crazy. So that's kind of like the mandatory idols that you would want for this setup. Again, you can focus only on totem Earthquakes or only on melee Aftershock Earthquake thingies, but I think a mix of the two is actually pretty good. And that's what I've been experimenting with. If you are self-casting Earthquake, then it kind of takes a slot on your action bar and idle spot and talent points, and you're going to need more talent points for mana. So it's a bit of an investment, but I think the single target damage is pretty worth it. In terms of weapons and gear, these are super, super nice. Scissor of Atropos. You're going to get these by just hopping into the little like cemeteries or tombs or whatever they're called, the little weavers dungeons that spawn on your maps. They'll drop from the Atropos little spider boss, and then you just see if they drop good stuff, see if they're good. So for me, I'm looking for like physical damage, melee physical damage, damage over time would be sick, attack speed would be sick, those sort of things. And then there's also like the utility stuff like Frailty. This one has melee damage, shock, which doesn't do anything, but increased stun chance is cool. But these should be really easy to farm. So I've been using these forever. Like these kind of things, I have a bunch of them in my stash. Those are pretty dang solid. For your helmet, you pretty much just want to get like strength. For me, like strength, health, armor. But helmet in particular, you want Earthquake. Like you can get plus skills to Earthquake on your helmet, so look out for that. Necklace, I probably eventually want like the Omnis. I think this is one of the ones, and then there's another one that's like even better. That just gives you a bunch of resist, a bunch of stats. But these are pretty cool to start with because they give you health regen, resists, less damage over time taken, and then you can get a whole bunch of other good stuff on it. This dropped from me yesterday, Mantle of the Pale Ox. If you're going to go health instead of ward, I think this one's insane. So you get 18% of damage redirected to your highest health minion, 24% increased health for you and your minions, 9% increased movement speed, strength, and +2 to strength minion skills. So this is one of those places where Frenzy Totem buffs are coming in, and then we gave it to the Nemesis, And he gave me Vitality and Fizz resist, which is wild, because now we're capped on resist. We have a bunch of extra health. Super duper nice. For my rings right now, I'm using Siphons of Anguish. We get those from fighting Orbis. I had two 2LP ones, so I put Strength, and then it got health on this one, and then I put Strength, and then it got cold damage on this one, which is like the worst affix out of 4 or 3 good ones, right? And then I'm still using Thorn Slinger. I just like the physical skills on it. The movement speed is cool. All it does is chance to bleed and physical skills, though. But I did put health on it, so at least it's not completely pointless, but I definitely need a better belt. My gloves, we've got Strength, Attunement, Attack Speed, Elirez, Armor. Those are insane. It's going to be hard to replace these, but we'll find something. And then we have Vion's Chariot, so we have the movement speed that got Nemesis on there, along with the base movement speed and the movement speed on like the, you know, the boot thing. It's got increased damage for 1% increased movement speed, which is cool, because I'm like sprinting around all the time. And then every 3 seconds, your next movement skill deals 30% more damage. That's just kind of whatever. 9 to all resist, and 95 armor is great. But we do have these little things where increased effective haste is really good. We have 2 of those, so that's fun. And then increased damage for totems is like, well, my totems don't really deal damage, but 2 random totems are teleported to me after I use a traversal skill. So I'm fighting a boss. What I'll do is I'll put down my frenzy totem, I'll war cry, I'll smack him a bunch, and then before and then I'll leap on top of him to pull all the totems right on top of it, and then I'll start dumping earthquakes to get all my totems, all aftershocking, right next to the boss and doing like a bajillion damage, which is pretty cool. So I actually like that affect on there. And then I'm just using like a little bit of resist, a little bit of health. This one doesn't really seem very good. We can switch this one out, surely. And then we have aspect of the board duration and increased melee damage, which is just pretty solid, right? We want that boar buff up. Well, we could probably find a good relic to put there anyway. But that's what we're rocking with right there. And then my I call it a relic, idols. My actual relic has just another one of these dedications of an erased Primalist. The +1 Primalist skills are sick. Less damage over time taken from slowed enemies is cool because enemies are slowed. The Aspect of the Fight doesn't do anything for me, but look what it rolled. It summoned +3 to summon Frenzy Totem, which is hilarious. It gives me poison resist, and it gives me health regen and health. So that's like, all right, cool, sounds good. If we wanted to go the ward setup, we would be wearing a whole bunch of different gear, so I'll keep you posted on that one. But the build has been really, really good. It's been really fun. We were able to get through to 500 corruption and kill bosses at 500 corruption. I don't think it's really comfortable to farm 500 corruption because a lot of the rares will just clean one-shot you. And it's kind of annoying to just get clean one-shotted. So I'm like, all right, I will probably knock it down to like 400 corruption and see how it goes. But let's show you guys a little bit of the gameplay. I think we'll go into the lag on one again because I want to farm out some different buffs for him. We're not doing that yet. We're not going straight for the big boy yet. We could. It's really cool to catch up with this. We pushed 1 corruption or 1 monolith to like 500 corruption, and now we're doing this one. So we knocked it down to 400 corruption. I think that might be a little bit too low. That might be a little bit too chill farming. But all in all, the build is really fun. It plays really fast. You're kind of leaping, earthquaking around. Warcry, totem. You don't really have to even throw down earthquake if you don't want to, but once you fight a strong enemy, you may want to. But I'm having a blast. Last Epoch continues to be a lot of fun. One of the things I've been talking about is that the leveling process is pretty easy. The first monoliths and even the corrupted monoliths are pretty easy. Once you start to get to the empowered monoliths and you can really scale up the challenge, like 300 plus, I think it starts to feel really good. But part of the reason for that is because the game, in my opinion, seems to be designed so that any build can clear up to like 200 corruption, like anything. So when you're leveling, they want you to be able to just like try all the different skills, just mess around, see what seems fun, and still be able to clear the campaign without having to play like some kind of meta build just to get by, right? But what that means is if you do play some kind of meta build, it may be very easy. But now that we're into the end game, into the empowered monoliths, the corruption farm, things are feeling really, really good. And what corruption does is you'll see that it makes the mobs a lot stronger. They have like 400% more health and damage, but they also have much more rarity and give you a little bit more XP. The rarity scales more than the XP does. But that's how this part of the game works. And so when things aren't just getting like completely you're just walking through everything, destroying it all, even though I feel like we kind of are walking through and destroying it all, it definitely gets kind of fun. So we'll start with 400 corruption today, I think. Oh, see, my health bar's getting chunked a little bit there. And we'll see if 400 corruption feels like a pretty good place to farm. But if you guys want to see this build in action, I'm recording this video real quick, and then I'm going to fire up that stream so I can get to grinding. We've been streaming a whole lot of this game on Twitch, and whenever we're live on Twitch, we're also live on YouTube. So if you guys like watching on YouTube, feel free to tune in over there. I got to see if I want to bother with this mana thing. I think the AoE on these totems, or on these aftershocks, is also really nice, but it feels good to be able to press a couple actual self-casted earthquakes, especially on big enemies. I don't know if I can find a big enemy. I don't really want to go fight Orbis right now because he's gonna put this corruption back up to 500, and I want to get warmed up before we do that at least. Maybe even make some gains. But yeah, the basics behind the boss, again, are you walk up to him, throw your frenzy totem down, hit your war cry, blast them, leap on top of them, and then just start dumping earthquakes when all the totems are next to each other and you see all the aftershocks going off. Yeah, all of those aftershocks combined with your swipes. I mean, and earthquake is a melee attack, so. Whoa! Okay, these guys are putting a chunk on me. Let's give them the deeps. But if enemies are really scary, you can like hit them and just like with a couple earthquakes and just walk away. Gotta go seal the sun gate. Is that real? Or is this bait? Let's find out. But if you're looking for like a barbarian warrior kind of build, this is maybe one that you're interested in. Another big heavy slammer. This is like more like a fury warrior. Like an arms warrior would probably be like a racing strike. Void Knight, maybe? I haven't played that yet, but I definitely think that some people like that one. It is like a big heavy AoE one-shot. This one's more like a fury warrior. Like running around slaying with like big dot application with Earthquake. And I think that feels really fun to me. And this will continue to scale up. Mostly, I think our damage is like mostly okay. Obviously, we always need more damage, but damage is mostly okay, just we need to get a little tankier. But once we get a little stronger and we can do the ward setup, I will report back and make a video about that, showing you how that one looks. But I'm having a blast with Last Epoch. Definitely wanted to make a quick video showing you guys the build because I'm having a good time with it. But right now it's time for me to end the video so I can go get to grinding and make us some gains for the day. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for showing love. Also, for my PoE enjoyers, more Path of Exile on the way too. But right now we're enjoying the Last Epoch grind, and we're going to get back to it on stream. We'll see you guys there. Peace.